And so you just heard the engines get fired up there on the pit lane. So let's get
All right, man. Lights are back on the pace car. We're not going green this time. We are not.
Or give me a second there, actually. Okay, sorry about that, folks. I had a bit of an issue right there, but anyways, let's now get to it. Here's the starting grid here for the Kansas 200. On the front row, it's a pair of rookies. The number 13 of Jared Ireland starting on the pole. He won back in Kansas earlier in the season in June. And then we got the number 6 Ford of Justin Belmonte to his high side. And then on the next row here, we have another rookie. It's the number 3 Toyota of Dylan Baum. And to his outside, look at that, it's the number 88 Chevrolet of Scott Bailey. Remember, he missed Richmond last Tuesday. He'll look to get himself above the cut line and continue his consistent runs as of recently.
Dylan Baum, one of the guys very much on that cut line right now. Corbin McCauley, absolutely not in that position. He's secured his spot in the round of 12. He starts 5th tonight in the number 17 Chevy. He's got Season 1 Earl Ross Cup champion Ryan Gibson for company there on row 3. He'll start 6th in the number 23 Chevy. Then you've got another guy who's outside the cut line right now in the form of Michael Wolford, starting in 7th in the number 36 Chevy. He'll have defending Earl Ross Cup champion Ty Higginbotham on his outside. The number 97 Toyota starts 7th. They're 8th.
Yes, that would be 8th. And rounding at the top 10, you have the number 7 Chevrolet of Andy Hurdle. And then to his outside, he's outside the playoffs, but looking for a good finish. The number 41 Ford of Jose Mercado. Outside the top 10 just barely is the number 2 Ford of Daniel Cudmore, looking to gain another top 10 finish here like he did last Tuesday. And you got the number 15 Toyota of Kyle Nolan 12.
Moving on to row 7, we've got Darcy Ford drawing lucky 13 there in the number 64 Chevy. Comes into tonight 7th in the standings. He'll have C.D. Mangrum for company there in 14th in the number 1 Chevy. Moving on to row 8, we've got the number 12 of Mike Marini and Hunter Young on the outside, it would appear, as I think we're going green early.
Yeah, we're going green. So the Kansas 200 is underway. Very quickly at the starting grid, you got Ford, Young, Marini, Butler, and Paytack from 14th backwards. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get those names in time, but I did just get them barely right there. So yes, we are underway here. And just fixing the ticker a little bit right there to update that. But through turns 3 and 4, Ireland and Belmonte side by side. Through the tri-oval, it looks like Ireland's going to lead the first lap of this one. And that whole time my iRacing volume is not on. Now it is, so hopefully you can hear those engines and these cars rolling around this intermediate. And so Belmonte's going to clear his way in between 1st and 3rd. And so Ireland's going to clear the way along that high side in 1st place. He'll be leading the first couple laps here. And again, trying to continue that momentum back from whenever he won back at Kansas a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and everybody kind of rolling off in close quarters here to start Riggs Ireland, maybe with a bit of a gap here, but nothing too crazy. Not like we saw last week at Richmond, where it just kind of felt academic really from kind of the first quarter of the race, quite honestly. This has a much different feel as Baum does a dive bomb, for lack of a better term, down to the inside line.
Indeed, so we got 3 rookies here up at the top going at it, while McCauley's staying in behind right there with Scott Bailey, then behind him in 5th. And nice to see Ryan Gibson here in the number 23, who again, looking at the playoff standings, Gibson is only barely a couple of points above there, +3 tied with Andy Hurdle for 9th. So he's definitely looking to keep his way up there and stay above the cut line and try to gain some of those stage points that will be integral for him, again, to stay above the cut line as this race goes on.
And, of course, Gibby, the Season 1 winner at Kansas as well, and that ultimately is what locked his spot into the Championship 4, where, of course, he went on to become our inaugural Earl Ross Cup champion.
So Baum's now starting to fall back here as McCauley will take 3rd, and we're going to have another battle here side by side.
Oh, we saw something in the
something
back, I
happened
think.
there, almost. Jose Mercado with an issue in his number 41 Javelin Ford, a Davey Allison throwback right there, I would imagine. As Daniel Cudmore was also falling back just a little bit. Kyle Knoll having a bit of a warp right there, but he's still keeping his car going, of course. And Ireland and Belmonte still going at it there side by side through turns 1 and 2. A lot of close racing here to begin this Kansas 200. Thoughts? Oh, never mind. Oh, Daniel Cudmore and Mike Marini are around on the back straightaway. Caution's out. So that's 2 drivers outside the playoffs, of course, not even in them, getting together down the back straightaway. Not ideal, especially for Cudmore. Again, we go back to that top 10 finish that he got back at Richmond last Tuesday night. Especially after a great wreck avoidance.
Yeah, the old Ruby Slipper didn't fit him in Kansas here tonight, as he and Marini get collected here. I'd like to get another look at that here at some point while we're under that first yellow.
Indeed we will, so let's take a look at what happened. So we'll start here. They're side by side going through turns 1 and 2. Marini kind of in that middle to high groove. Cudmore staying on the inside. Oh, Marini came down. They both went down. Marini does make contact with the inside wall. Cudmore, on the other hand, was actually able to save the car. So yeah, Marini just got loose off the corner, and then they both go down. Marini gets into the wall. Cudmore able to save it, but it looks like he might... Yeah, he does have a bit of a bent right front there by the looks of it. But Marini taking the worst of that one.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're spinning around, obviously not a great place for that to be, as we'll get a little look here. I think it may have been, not that there was any intent, I don't think, but certainly I think Hunter Young had maybe gotten close to the back of Marini. I don't think there was contact per se, but maybe just enough to get that 12 loose coming out of 2. And yeah, Cudmore winds up being the collateral in that.
Yeah, Cudmore very lucky there not to also get wall contact. Unfortunately, Marini, the one getting loose and going into Cudmore, he's the one that gets the worst of it, is then he tries to get the car going but spins it. So he's just coming off pit road right there to fix the repairs, as we're on lap 8 out of 167. Friendly reminder that these stage lengths are 45, 52, and 70, which comes up at 167 laps. And looking back at the previous Kansas race back on June 27th, that one was 134 laps with stage lengths of 40, 40, and 54. So this is a longer one. It's going to help drivers, give drivers a better advantage, give them more time to figure out strategies and have more time, to prevail over other drivers and such. And yeah, it's pretty much what has to be said.
That was... No, I was ready to catch you there. Ultimately, that was where we saw Corbin McCauley, if you recall, in that Kansas race. Every single green flag pit stop, it seemed like something was wrong not too long after the fact. So seeing that ultimately benefited Jared Ireland in the end, because, he had his own things to navigate as well, having to come through the back of the field at one point to get back up to the top of it. But yeah, just as you alluded to before, it is going to be kind of pivotal having these, additional 50 miles in play here. You do have to kind of consider some different options, certainly, just, sheer length. What's the wear going to look like? And we'll see who's going to get off to a good start here as the pace car pulls in rather aggressively.
It always seems to be on iRacing. So the green flag is out. Jared Ireland going to get a good jump right there here. It'll be lap 10 out of 167. So an early caution this one. We saw Kyle Knoll making a bit of a block there on Hunter Young up high, just past the start-finish line. So Ireland's going to clear the way up top there. McCauley up to second in front of Belmonte. Still looking back here, it's going to be side by side with a couple of cars here. Young very high along that wall. Magram in the middle, Bailey on the inside falling back. Had to slow it down just a little bit, but he's trying to use some side draft. It looks like Magram will barely be able to clear him there. Magram being able to clear both, as Ireland and McCauley are now going to go side by side here for the race lead. Belmonte going to follow in behind them, and Higginbottom also going to be patient behind them, as hopefully nothing will happen up here. Again, too early.
Yeah, I mean, Ireland and McCauley, two pretty good cars to follow around this Kansas Speedway, this particular mile and a half. 1-2 last time around, of course. We've alluded to it already. And, yeah, outside of that one incident, anything related to our playoff drivers has been, you know, pretty up and up here so far. Let's see how long that lasts.
Dylan Baum trying to be like Kyle Larson there on that high side. He seemed to be the only car really doing that right there. And Ty Higginbottom trying to hold the advantage with the on the high side there with more corner exit speed.
Yeah, got a nice little pack here. It has to be said that would be 4 through 6 we're seeing, or 3 through 6, excuse me. No, 4 through 7. Jesus, what am I doing here? It's the torrential rain out in Alberta. It must have gotten into my brain on the way home.
Oh, well, maybe so. McCauley's still trying to use that inside line to catch up to Ireland, but Ireland maintaining himself in the middle to high grooves. Again, trying to sweep the Kansas races this season after winning back in June, of course. Belmonte following close behind the number 17 there through turns 3 and 4. Wall Mercado having some issues there as he got in the outside wall coming off of turn 2, but he's keeping his car straight. Hunter Young using the inside to dive in front of Ty Higginbottom by the looks of it there. So he's going to have himself in 7th right there. And again, Hunter Young looking at the playoff standings as well. Young is tied for that final spot as of right now with Dylan Baum, who is up in 4th. So that's 2 guys right there tied for that final spot in 4th and 7th. So, and looking back through the later parts of this field here, you got Hurdle in 10th, Scott Bailey's all the way back to 13th, surprisingly. Gibson's 14th, Ford is 15th, Wolford's 16th, Paytack all the way back in 17th. And trying to see what else is going on towards the front here as we're seeing some battles going on. We're getting some double file racing here for 2nd and 4th. McCauley and Belmonte for 2nd, then for 4th. It's between... McCauley is surrounded by all 4 rookies right now.
Yeah, first years and the guy in first overall, and one of them's maybe looking at that inside line again. Belmonte, Baum, and Knoll content to kind of hang back here for a little bit, but Jared Ireland not wanting to give up that lead just yet.
McCauley's still trying to dive to the inside there. Ireland's still getting that better corner exit speed, though, every time. Actually, no, that time McCauley was able to stay pretty close to him that time. Is Baum trying to dive it in through turns 3 and 4 there. And how about this? Look at this. The number 10 of Jason Butler getting his way through the field here, trying to catch up to this front pack as they continue to battle up front. And looking at where Butler is currently in the playoff standings, he is +1 above the cut line in 11th. So where he is right now is very good, and that'll help him if he's able to stay up here and gain some stage points, hopefully not screw up whenever the green flag pit window comes around just before the end of this first stage, which again, 45 laps in length. So we'll be approaching halfway here very, very soon, as, man, McCauley and Ireland still going at it up here at the front. This is some really good racing here, and again, too, it's like real life, because most people's favorite race so far in the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season has been the one Kansas race that has been done so far. Of course, they returned to Kansas, I believe, in the playoffs. So, again, that race has been argued by many to be the best race of the season. It seems like we're kind of getting a similar fashion here in the Canadian Motorsports Network NASCAR Series Season 4.
Indeed, so definitely a great start here. But just to go back to Jason Butler there for a second, as you mentioned, currently running in sixth. Obviously, first time in the playoffs for Jason Butler in his 4 seasons here. And I think he would be probably the first to tell you that he benefited greatly from Scott Bailey and Jonathan Peden not being at Richmond last week. Not that Butler's not a capable driver on his own. He's shown that he is. But now he's just kind of, at least to begin with, has been able to kind of consolidate that performance here, and he'll try and hang on to this lead pack as much as possible just to try and create a little bit of separation between himself and those around him, because, yeah, as it stands, the guy who's immediately behind him, Dylan Baum, is 1 place ahead. Hunter Young, another guy right on that bubble, 1 place back. So literally every point is going to matter.
Indeed so, and we continue to look at this up front right here. The top 4 are all double file racing. I mean, we have to remember, next Tuesday night on the schedule is Talladega.
Well, maybe just giving a week early preview, perhaps. If it stays this clean, hell, I'd sign up for that any day.
That's the thing too. If it's able to stay this clean the whole time, and we get to see this all night long, and there's no trouble, then that'll be a fantastic preview for what we're going to get whenever we begin the round of 12. Which again, we have to remind everyone, of course, the round of 12 will be Talladega and Charlotte. So that's a super speedway, and then a track where the next gen absolutely is spectacular. Just like here at Kansas, Kansas and Charlotte are 2 of the favorite tracks with the NASCAR fan base when it comes to the next gen, because it is spectacular on the bigger tracks, the intermediates. And yeah, Kansas and Charlotte are both of those tracks in the top 2. There could be an argument as to which one is the quote-unquote better one, but we'll have to wait and see, let this race kind of roll through, because again, it's still pretty early, but the potential that we're seeing here for how the race, the finish will end up being, with everyone close together. We remember there was a lot of separation whenever we came to the third and final stage back at Kansas on June 27th, where it was Ireland, McCauley, and Bailey together after that final, I believe that it was that final green flag pit window. So what we're seeing here, if we get to see this all night long, then what a hell of a way to end off the round of 16.
Yeah, and I mean, how many times have we talked over the course of the year about the fact that this field is just so deep right now? The fact that we're talking about such razor-thin margins in the round of 16 just to get to the round of 12, I think that's probably enough support in and of itself, quite honestly, and I think it's only going to get better over the course of the evening.
Indeed, so this racing has broken off a tiny bit, but the top 5 staying at a close distance together, single file. Maybe a little bit of a nice break, because I'm sure these drivers may have been stressing it a little bit because it might be a little too early for pack racing like this, but again, they're putting on a pretty good show, and they're able to keep this clean thus far. But so far, it's Ireland leading the way. He's led, I think it might be only 1 lap. Yeah, he's led every single lap except for 1. McCauley ended up leading 1 of them, but Ireland's practically led every single lap here besides that 1 lap. Belmonte's still there in 3rd, Noel 4th, Baum 5th. That's 4 rookies and Corbin McCauley all in one group together. Hunter Young still hanging on there in 6th, looking for a good finish. There's C.D. Magram in 7th in his number 1 Chevrolet, sponsored by Nordic Aluminum Incorporated, A1 Grassroots Lawn Maintenance and Landscaping, Marcor Construction Incorporated, and McBride Transmissions, driving for GTR in his 2nd season. So a nice blue and black Nordic Aluminum car right there. And there's the first car to head down pit road. Oh no, he missed it!
Yeah, you might have overshot the marks there a little bit. And that's Butler, I believe.
That is Butler. He's going to go backwards and then enter pit road, so that could be disastrous for some stage points, especially knowing how fast he's been here so far tonight. Again, that number 10 Chevrolet, sponsored by Rampage Coffee Co., Wing Snob, and Kyle's Fried Chicken, driving for 519 E-Racing. You can see Kyle's face right there on the side.
Well, if you remember back to Daytona just a couple of weeks ago, if you want to talk disastrous pit stops there, Jason Butler, if you recall, very nearly didn't make the playoffs on account of running out of fuel with, 2-3 laps remaining?
I think he said he was like 5 laps short, I think.
Yeah, that would sound right. I think the restart came with maybe 2 or 3 to go.
Yeah, the restart definitely, quote-unquote, helped. Especially because he needed someone above the cut line to win, not someone below, and we came very close to someone below because guys like Jose Mercado was up there, Mike Marini as well, but no, Ty Higginbottom was able to get through all that final lap carnage and get the job done, and Butler was able to breathe a sigh of relief as because of that mistake, Butler here is going to go 1 lap down here. Actually, no, he technically will be on fresher tires, although, again, though, that the draft at those top 4 and kind of 5 cars that they have right there, we'll have to see how this all turns out here, but we have 15 laps to go in the first stage. Lap 31, 45 will be the final lap of the first stage, but yeah, the top 4 staying a bit of a pack right here with Kyle Knoll following quietly behind his number 15 Storm Surge eSports Toyota. So
yeah, a little bit of a different look to that car as well this evening. Riggs, a little bit of representation for NC State University on the back. And for any of the sports enthusiasts out there, anyone in particular a fan of the ESPN 30 for 30 documentaries, there was a great one on NC State's men's basketball team from, I want to say, 1983. So this might be the 40-year anniversary. Anyway, their motto fits really good for tonight. It was simple: survive in advance. That's what Kyle Knoll wants to do along with all the other playoff drivers as Baum comes in.
Baum comes in there. He looked like he had a pretty fast entry there, so we'll have to check back and see if perhaps there might have been a speeding penalty, but we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully not, especially how fast he's been able to run up front with the 4 other guys, his fellow rookies and Corbin McCauley, of course.
And again, he's dead on the bubble coming into tonight, too.
Yes, dead on the bubble. Here come the leaders. So Marini came in, then there's McCauley, Belmonte, and Knoll.
Lots of smoking.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoking here. It's quite the entrance here at Kansas. It's with the way the progressive banking is in both turns here at Kansas Speedway, entering down on pit road onto that apron where then it just goes right to flat. It's quite the challenge for these drivers, but so far it looks as though everyone should be okay, but we'll have to wait and see here if cars might have to come back down maybe because of potential penalties, because there were a lot of fast entries by a couple of guys there. And we saw with Jason Butler there almost going into the grass.
Yeah, just kind of overshot the marks, so to speak. Just couldn't quite get that Chevy rotated in time.
Well, okay, so someone did get a speeding penalty. There he is.
Well, and a 48-second stop on top of that, or did he just serve it right on cue?
No, he was in there the whole time. I think he might. I don't know for sure, but all we know is he got a penalty. He's 2 laps down. Not ideal whatsoever for the number 17, who, yes, he is the only driver locked into the round of 12, but again, knowing him, he would still want to win, especially we remember back at the first Kansas race in June, McCauley had the win in hand, but he didn't take care of his tires as freshly as Jared Ireland, and Ireland passed McCauley with 2 laps remaining and sailed away with the victory. And even McCauley had to, I don't know if McCauley, trying to remember if Bailey overtook McCauley there just before the checker flag, or McCauley was able to hang on for a second. But either way, though, he didn't take care of his tires as freshly as Ireland, so this time around he he will definitely be looking for resurgence. Although talking to him earlier, he's saying whatever happens, not a massive deal. But I mean, hey, there are still points that he could gain into the next round that will help him regardless, or that would help him regardless.
Well, I mean, he took a clean sweep of the additional 7 bonus points that were available last week. So obviously, a pretty good position for the 17 to be in. But, you want to make sure that everything is, tight, kind of on the up and up, whatever you want to call it. Just kind of make sure that, any silly mistakes are avoided effectively. With every race meaning that much more as we get closer and closer to the end of the season.
Indeed so. So we have 7 laps to go here in this first stage as Jose Mercado said, Macaulay getting in the wall there off of turn 2. I believe Mercado also hit the wall coming off turn 4, coming around there. And I think Macaulay's still getting into the outside wall. He was able to put himself now 1 lap down after being 2 there, but he got past Mercado, who was on way more worn tires than his number 41 Ford. So he and Daniel Cudmore currently leading the way there.
I would imagine yet to stop.
Unless maybe they'll have enough fuel to gain stage points and then go to pit road under the stage caution. There's Scott Bailey in third. That right there, him again, -8 below the cut line. If he stays out, that right there will be perfect stage points for him, and I will be really wondering if he's going to be above the cut line if, he ends up staying out and, gaining these points here. We'll have to see, though.
Well, I do have the spreadsheet up on my other screen, so I will do my very best to tell you whenever that very moment comes.
So Mercado now on pit road. Cudmore still on track with 5 laps remaining. Darcy Ford, who was inside in 15th, the last car on the lead lap. Butler, Macaulay, and Marini are the only cars any laps down right now. So Cudmore is now going to head down pit road. And so Scott Bailey is going to take the lead away here, coming to 4 laps to go in the first stage of the Kansas 200. Michael Wolford behind him by about a second here. There's Cudmore on pit road. Gibson, and he will take over the third position here, it'll be pretty much 11 seconds behind.
Yeah, and that's an interesting dynamic at 1-2 as well. Bailey and Wolford, they both want to move up, but again, they've been kind of historically tied to one another as well. So don't be surprised if, they both want the positions, but at the same time, maybe won't be fighting for it quite as hard as, say, drivers who don't have any other, inherent connection or relationship going into the races, so to speak.
Indeed, so Cudmore looks like he's about to fall a lap down. Here's Bailey's going to pass him on the very high side there. Wolford is in second there, a second and a half back. And that will be very...
Gibby's just fallen 3 positions.
Indeed he did. Don't know what may have happened with him there. Doesn't really look like much must have happened there. It's Ford and Younger very close together there for the 11th spot. So Paytack and Gibson kind of going at it there a bit for 6th, but Scott Bailey still leading the way here as we're coming to the white flag for this first stage. Cudmore and Butler close together there on the inside line as Cudmore is trying to stay on the lead lap. Actually, no, Butler is as well. That's 2 cars right there trying to stay on the lead lap to end off this first stage.
Yeah, and it looks like that gap is closing a little bit between Bailey and Wolford. But again, I don't know if I'd necessarily expect a full-on fight for that top spot unless something just happens to give out with Bailey in, say, the next corner and a half, or less.
And that will do it right there for the first stage. So Scott Bailey is going to take the stage 1 victory. Wolford takes second. Belmonte's going to come around and take third. Ireland 4th. Dylan Baum 5th. Paytack 6th. Kyle Knowles 7th. Ryan Gibson will take 8th. Ford 9th. Ty Higginbottom will take 10th. As the caution comes out. And that right there is your top 10 finishing order for the first stage. Scott Bailey, the number 88, after being absent at Richmond last Tuesday night.
Regan.
And give me a second here. All right, sorry about that little bit of a delay there in our voices, but just trying to figure out some technical stuff there. But what does matter, though, again, Scott Bailey taking the Stage 1 victory. Jordy, do you have anything to say about the points?
I absolutely do. I have a hell of a lot to say, actually. So, if we thought things were tight before, 9 through 15 are separated by 7 points.
Oh, gosh.
At this very point. So, Wolford, with the second place finish in the stage, has moved up to 9th. Baum has moved up to 10th by virtue of his 5th place finish in the stage. So, 2031 and 2030 there. Ryan Gibson at 2029 now. He's 11th after a 9th place finish. Andy Hurdle is your bubble boy now at 2027. No stage points. 1 point back now is Scott Bailey in 13th at 2026. Jason Butler now 14th at 2025. Hunter Young 15th at 2024.
Oh my goodness.
And at the top end, now with a 52-point gap between himself and 13th, you can mathematically lock Justin Belmonte into the round of 12 as well.
Good to know for the 6th. That doesn't surprise me whatsoever, knowing what his gap was like after last Tuesday night, of course. And so the cars will go double file here behind the pace car through turns 1 and 2. We'll get back to green with, let me do the math correct here, I believe it'll be 116 laps to go in tonight's 167 lap race, 200 miles at Kansas Speedway. And Then I believe, according to the math for the second stage, it's going to be 46 laps of racing in the second stage. Again, the first stage, we did have that early caution, but then right after that, we went right back to green, and we were able to stay green that whole time. We did, of course, see a lot of interesting pit entries, and one of them, unfortunately, ended up going against Corbin McCauley with a pit penalty as he's back in 17th in the 17. And appreciate that from you, Jordy, there, knowing what the current points are, as you were saying, under the caution. But we are back to green here for Stage 2. The 88 of Scott Bailey leading the way, looking to get himself above that cut line again. As you were saying, he's -1. He'll look to get himself in the pluses with potentially another stage victory if all goes well for him.
I mean, he literally did everything he possibly could in Stage 1, and yet he's pretty much entirely erased that gap, as you say. Just that 1 point separating him and Andy Hurdle now, ultimately. So, let's just make the racing that much tighter, shall we?
Indeed. Welcome to the Earl Ross Cup playoffs. That's what happens here in the Canadian Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. Of course, Corbin McCauley really trying to step his way up. Oh, Mercado almost came down into his right rear quarter panel right there, as he's 3 wide in the middle between Andy Hurdle and Daniel Cudmore. Cudmore is going to drop in behind him. I thought he was really going to dive it in 3 wide there, possibly. But now we got a side-by-side battle here. It is Scott Bailey and Justin Belmonte going at it through the tri-oval, very close together in the middle groove, just above the apron. Jared Ireland following in behind them. And now we got another veteran trying to spoil what has been a rookie party thus far here up front, besides Bailey and earlier in the race, Corbin McCauley. The 21 and Matthew Patak up front here right beside Dylan Baum. So that'd be the number 21, sponsored by AD1 Customs. There's just too many battles really to talk about here. We'll go to one, and then there's another one. It's just, there's so much time. And already Corbin McCauley's up to 8th place. I'm not surprised by that one bit. I don't think you are either.
I mean, I don't think you can be, but I'm also not surprised by just how tight things are right now. I mean, we're in Wizard of Oz country. I don't see any cowardly lions out here, Riggs.
Whoa!
No! Maybe pushing a bit too hard.
Spin, almost a bit, partially spun it into the grass. He'll come back up the track behind everyone.
And doing so safely, as opposed to the kind of projectiling we've seen from a couple of other instances in recent weeks.
I really want to get a replay of that, but I am terrified to see my keyboard light up in all yellow, which, yes, that's a thing. I guess we'll try to very quickly go back and see what happened with Kyle Knoll. That is Dylan Baum, not Kyle Knoll. We'll have to hurry up with this one.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a whole lot in terms of foul play, per se. Looks like...
Oh, he came up.
Comes up. Yeah, a little bit of a tap there. Kind of a self-inflicted wound there, almost, from the 15.
Indeed, but what does matter is that he stayed in the grass. He didn't come back up the track like we have seen at times before. So, very smart move there by the number 15 rookie there. But right now, oh, would you look at this? We got Jason Butler up in 4th, even 3rd. He's going to even try to go for the lead, possibly.
He's outside the playoff picture as of now. He needs absolutely every single point he can get. I do not blame the 10 for being here and being right in the thick of it.
I think one word you could perfectly describe this as is majestic.
Yeah, as Belmonte suddenly makes the move from the low line to high coming down the straight. Now he'll come back down. And yeah, Butler up into 2nd now.
This really is a Talladega practice.
Hey, I'm loving every second of this.
And would you look at that, Belmonte, I think might have had a bit of a moment there in the middle group, but Bailey's going to dive down on the inside and go side by side with him. Butler all clear in third, but now Baum's going to send it in. They're going to be 3 wide here for second. Almost, no, they were for maybe about a couple milliseconds there.
Almost looked like a star formation with that top 5.
And Lord,
and that's Butler in on the inside.
Jason Butler to the lead. How about that?
Yeah, I'm sure he was probably wishing that lap ticker would say, maybe 159 or 160 instead of just 60 or 61 right now. But nevertheless, Jason Butler is your leader, and he's consolidating it here. There's a gap.
Indeed, by about 3/10 here already so far over this gigantic pack behind him. And looking at his recent results this season, Butler has only led a combined 4 laps between Atlanta and Michigan, which, yes, that is something to point out. Butler has been very fast on the bigger tracks, like the raw speed has been there, but the luck just hasn't been. And there's a chance here, although the drafting from behind him might help, it looked as though Butler was almost damn well going to be at about 4/10 ahead of the field, but it's kind of remaining around 3 or so. But I imagine this is something that hasn't been seen for a very long time here in the Canadian Motorsports Network. I think you might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back to his history, 2 poles, both at Daytona in the night races in seasons 1 and 2. So, as you say, a guy who's fast on the bigger tracks, he's never been in this particular situation, having it last this long, so to speak, in any race, much less a playoff race, even further less a playoff race where he's actually got ramifications for it.
Indeed, so it remains at about 3/10 right there as Bailey tries to have some form of a run behind him. Ireland, yeah, we're getting a bit of some clearing here, a bit of more single file within the top 3. Oh, yeah, Bailey getting a huge run on Butler here in the turns 1 and 2 on lap 64. Bailey going to try to use that high side and try to get better corner exit speed here, and he will. Bailey is going to take the lead. Butler will get in behind, still trying to use that inside line, but Bailey looks as though he might, I wonder if it might even be better, a tad bit fresher tires again using that high side versus Butler, who has been wild on the inside. And now Ireland is going to close in here and try to take the second spot using the high side as well.
Yeah, that's reflected on the board here now, and there it is on track as well. Now Belmonte even up into third. So I wonder if Butler maybe just pushing a little too early, cooking things a little bit as if it was, a wing snob or a Kyle's Fried Chicken outlet.
Yeah, I do wonder if it may have been... Yeah. I do wonder if he may have used the tires up a little too much, maybe got a little bit too excited there, as he's now starting to fall really far back here to almost the bottom of the top 10. He's going to be 3 wide up high, and whoa, a couple of cars maybe, again, a little bit wiggly right there off of turn 2, as, oh my goodness, they are close right there in the slow pack, almost 4 wide. Oh my goodness.
I think there might have been a little something there. I don't know if it was like a side draft or whether it was full-on contact, but it felt like there might have been a bit of a push that sent Mangrum down to the apron. I don't know if that was a fully premeditated move there for the one, but it's so tight out there, it's hard to know.
Well, and especially, too, under the sun, a very slick racetrack. If we take a quick look at the weather info, 43 degrees Celsius track temperature, and it's also 28 degrees Celsius in the air, so absolutely slick racetrack, which has clearly made this racing absolutely fantastic. And to all the people watching this right now, invite your family, invite your friends to watch this one, because this has been an absolutely barn burner of a race here to conclude the round of 16. Yet we still have to complete this second stage, and we still have one more stage at 70 laps in length to complete. So still plenty of time for things to shake up. We still have to, like as you were mentioning, Jordy, it's about a 7-point gap between a bunch of drivers towards the playoff cut line. And I even wonder if it might even get even tighter after stage 2.
It just might. It'll be interesting to find out. But I mean, as you said, we're not even halfway home in this one. And how much action have we seen already? It's only going to get better and better from here, folks.
Indeed. So Bailey now has pulled way ahead of the field here by 7/10. As I'm seeing this pack back here, they're really going at a double file back here as Butler continues to fall back outside the top 10. A lot of close racing action between him, Andy Hurdle, Jose Mercado. Oh my goodness, quite the slide right there between those two. Oh, whoa, trouble!
Contact!
That's Dylan Baum going around on the back straightaway. Caution's out. I think Paytack might have been involved in that one a little bit as well. But all that close racing finally just had a breaking point. I was wondering if at some point it was going to happen. But holy cow, I think we just saw the best racing we've seen in a very long time here in the Canadian Motorsports Network. Is holy moly, you can make a whole... If we were to make a highlight reel of this race, I think it'd be way too long.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even know where to look on the track, honestly. Obviously, you got your lead battles and kind of playoff ramifications, but really, as you said, those extend pretty much through the whole field here, as we're going to get another look at this incident involving Baum and presumably
we got loose. Oh, and up, and Paytack gets into the side of him. Yes. Oh my goodness, and everyone somehow was able to avoid him.
Oh.
Good gracious. I think the rear chase camera might be... Oof.
Yeah, there's the slipping right away, and yeah, Matty Paytack. How many times have we said this year? Absolutely no place to go. Not quite no place like home, although that is a Kansas and Wizard of Oz thing. Just no place to go there for the 21 that time around.
So we're going to take a look at this from Kyle Knowles' angle right here. Oh, wow.
Man, oh man.
Put that into the highlight reels right there. Holy cow.
Yeah, the old reaction time, even though it's not an iRacing metric, the reaction time is rather impressive in these particular instances.
And I think Butler was very close in this one as well. Oh my gosh. Ooh.
Yeah, we are very, very fortunate that that didn't wind up being any bigger than it was.
And knowing how the racing's been with this whole field so far, I really don't want to see any cars begin getting eliminated. But then at the same time, it was just we were just bound to have a breaking point of some kind, and we did right there. But again, two props to Baum, I would say, as well for, again, too, that definitely could have been worse, but I think that, was probably the best case scenario for him there, even though Paytack did get into him, and now he's just coming up.
Very light tap, though.
Yeah, no, it was very, very light, and especially with the next gens, too. They are pretty durable, especially on that front end. So Paytack, I would imagine, should be all right.
And especially with, the added 50 miles tonight compared to the 200 that we ran at Kansas a little over a month ago. Just a little more time to kind of work your way through the field. You saw Jared Ireland do it, mentioned it earlier tonight. He did that within the context of stage 3 by itself last time. So there's absolutely nothing to say that, Matthew Paytack, even though he was involved in that incident, again, sort of kind of not innocent bystander, but kind of an unlucky party to it, there's no reason to think we won't see him toward the head of the field again by the end of the night.
For sure. And I see here in the chat, Tom Janikowski is present watching the Kansas 200. So, Tom, I just want to ask you right now, if you are listening to me right now, just give me a sentence or something of what you're seeing out of this racing product here tonight thus far. Because holy moly, it's like you said, Jordy. We're loving this, and we want this to keep going because we've had good racing, but we've had nothing at the levels that we have been seeing here tonight. And just knowing how tight the playoff grid is towards the cut line is just wow.
Again, a reminder for anyone who might have missed it earlier, positions 9 through 15 currently separated by 7 points as of the end of stage 1. So, yeah, couldn't get a whole lot tighter than that.
So just a couple words there to Jason Butler, maybe telling him to tell the drivers that possibly know to keep this damn product up because this is incredible. And we still have some time left to get this second stage completed. I would imagine we're probably around halfway or so at this point. But the green flag is back out on lap 75. Scott Bailey still leading the way here, dominating this one with almost perfection so far. Oh, we're going to be 3 wide for the race lead here. It's Belmonte getting really close with him. McCauley down low. Baum had a loose moment back there as well. Belmonte's going to drop in behind Bailey. But this is a perfect situation so far for Bailey, knowing he is -1 below the cut line right now. Another stage victory for him, plus even the race victory, as long as there's no screw-ups with pit stops or anything. He may very well be on his way to that long overdue win that I am astonished that he still hasn't visited victory lane this season.
Grant, it's fair to say that, but you've also got a guy that you may or may not share a last name with who's accounted for half, maybe even more than half of the victories to this point. So that also doesn't help.
I've had to interview the guy on the other side of my room too many times.
I was going to say, you talk to him enough outside the context of the interview.
Yeah, exactly. But no, if he does end up winning this one, though, I think he would be a perfect driver to talk to, knowing how this racing has been, because knowing he's already locked in, that'll only make him, have a more positive response. Talking about everyone, but wow, Kyle Knoll almost diving it in down low for third place right there through turns 3 and 4. Bailey still leading the way. Clear as day, top 3 are single file, almost top 4s. Knowles trying to get really close there in behind Belmonte, and really trying to close the gap is the number 6. On the high side is Bailey McCauley, the 17 more towards the middle though. And Knoll, is he going to try and clear in? No, Ryan Gibson crawling his way back up through the field again. Remember, Gibson won this race, or he won at Kansas back in 2020, so that's a former Kansas winner right there who is +3 above the cut line, looking to try and continue gaining stage points here and stay above the cut line and hopefully be able to finish the race in a clean state as well.
Yeah, I mean, so many guys we're looking at here just right in the thick of that battle that we were talking about. So again, you had Bailey, as you mentioned, 13th as it stands right now. Kyle Knoll just outside of that fray as it stands right now, 14-point gap between himself and Scott Bailey. So a little bit of breathing room there for the 15. But then, yeah, Ryan Gibson in 5th is right in the thick of things down in 11th. Hunter Young on the outside looking in. He's 15th in the standings, but 8th on track right now. And Andy Hurdle, who would also... or just lost 10th place, as a matter of fact, just as I was about to say that. He is the bubble boy right now, so he absolutely needs to grab some stage points here everything is up for grabs right now.
And what was up for grabs right there for Kyle Knoll was the race lead, and he's going to take it over Scott Bailey. So another rookie is going to begin leading the way here at Kansas Speedway by about 0.3 now. Great to see the 15 who, over the course of the season, we've seen him. He kind of that guy where, he doesn't qualify the greatest, but he ends up getting great finishes. Whenever he's able to bring the car home and clean, there has been a couple of races where we have seen him, play it aggressive. And, of course, there was that one race where he did end up being suspended, of course, and couldn't make it to Talladega. But ever since then, he has really been trying to make a name for himself and prove that he deserves to be here. And he's really proven that here thus far at Kansas. It's quite a resurgence ever since that happened. And he's up here in the lead by 0.3 over Scott Bailey, who is trying to hold his position over a couple of guys in McCauley and Belmonte and also Gibson as well. So we're starting to see a little bit more parity up here in terms of veteran and rookie presence. Again, Knoll, Belmonte, and then there's Bailey, McCauley, and Gibson. Even Higginbottom and Magrum are starting to show off themselves here. Jared Ireland all the way back in 12th. Dylan Baum 13th. He's been involved in several incidents so far here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's, as you say, a lot going on. We literally just had that shot of the back straight where we could literally see every car on it. So that tells you, with obviously the exception of a couple of lapped cars, Marini and Cudmore, from that early incident, 1 through 17, they are all, everyone's within striking distance still. And we've seen the speed of this Kansas track here tonight, and we've seen guys just carve their way through the field. Case in point, Corbin McCauley moving up from 17th to 3rd after his penalty, and Scott Bailey effectively doing the same after dropping as low as 13th at one point, but deciding to stay out toward the end of stage 1, and that got him the all-important stage win, and that's got him, very much within striking distance of a playoff spot as it stands right now, or in terms of advancing to the round of 12.
Indeed. So I think, considering how this racing's gone, I think this would be the perfect time to thank TrackCams22.com for providing us with these incredible custom mobile cameras here for our first season on the iRacing service that really help emphasize and enhance these broadcasts that we do here, these live productions, of course. And we're getting a lot of close racing, so we might as well step back and, kind of do a show, don't tell situation. So here's the TrackCams22.com. Crank it up. Okay, and so that ends the crank it up maybe a little prematurely right there as the caution's out. Wolford's on pit road. I wonder if it might have something to do with that, unless I get confirmation from somebody here, but let me just fix something here very quickly here. And, whoa, did I just hear that correctly? Oh. Jordy, I don't know if I heard that correctly. I might have.
I literally just put my headset back on. I have no idea what's going on.
I could have sworn I just heard an engine blow up.
Well, we see Kyle Knoll in pit lane.
Okay, hang on, folks. I'm going to see what's up here. If that indeed was what I just heard there, that is catastrophic. Because Knoll is 14 points above the cut line. Only 14.
And so if that ultimately winds up holding, what'll wind up happening is Knoll, that would put him at a classification of 19th, which would only get him, I think, 18 points. So let me just make absolutely sure on this.
Trying to see if maybe I'll hear. Yeah, there. Did you catch that?
Well, I don't get the iRacing audio through my
Look visually.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a significant slowing, and the smoke. Like that's, as you say, catastrophic, and that is in all likelihood going to mark the end of Kyle Knoll's chances.
Oh, look at this! Look, that's
man, Cudmore and Wolford.
So I think that's what the caution's for, because Wolford, we saw him on pit road with damage. He and Daniel Cudmore got together on the back straightaway. So I believe this would be the reason the caution comes out. Yes.
Yeah, there's the tap.
Oh my.
Not even a tap. That's a hard hit.
And then he just kind of rides along the outside wall. And then we see with Kyle Knoll, he's in his pit stall right now. If that's his race, oh my. Knowing how he was just running up front, he was just leading, and now all of a sudden he might be done.
Yeah, and speaking of done, depending on when this pace car comes in, it is going to be a sprint to the end of the second stage.
Alright, another little bit of a technological delay right there, but we're all good. And I just got a report there that Jason Butler is apparently on new tires, so I think a couple of guys actually, I would imagine a couple of guys maybe as a matter of fact, because we did kind of miss some cars coming down pit road here, as we are going to get a dash, as you said, Jordy, there, I believe we were still muted there.
4 laps.
Yeah, we're going to get a 4-lap dash to the finish of the second stage. So green flag is out on lap 94. Again, lap 97 is the final lap of the second stage. Scott Bailey leading the way, looking to sweep the stages here. But Justin Belmonte's going to be right on his tail, and so will be Corbin McCauley as well. A couple battles here throughout the middle of the pack. Andy Hurdle and C.D. Magrum close together. Hunter Young having a bit of a moment there going through turn 3. He's going to drop back.
And notably here, yeah, you went right to it on pit lane. Kyle Knoll obviously still there. Michael Wolford also still there after that incident with Dan Cudmore. Knoll actually still classified higher.
Oh, whoa. Someone, I believe, Jason Butler, I think, might have an issue on his right front. I don't know if he got in the wall or there was contact with someone. We'll have to see whenever the stage comes to an end.
You literally just finished saying he was on new tires, so I don't know if it's that.
We'll have to go back and check unless he says something to me, because that was unexpected.
Yeah, unless they got smoky, then the tires might be more bald than him. I can get away with that, you guys. We've known each other for 4 years now.
Oh, yeah. But here we are, coming to the white flag for the second stage. Scott Bailey leading the way. Justin Belmonte 2/10 behind, trying to see if he might be able to gain one more final run here towards the end. Oh, McCauley getting loose off the corner. He's going to save the rear end. And if we take a quick look at the weather info, yeah, the track temperature has gone down a couple of degrees right there from 43 to 38. But coming off the final corner, Scott Bailey is going to sweep the first 2 stages. And that is going to be huge for him in the points. There's the caution.
Yeah, I mean, that is as close to job done as you can possibly get if you're Scott Bailey after missing last week at Richmond, of course. 20 for 20 so far. And yeah, really couldn't have asked for much better from the 88. In fact, mathematically, you couldn't have asked for any better.
Okay, so because I think there might have been I believe we may have had a little bit of an issue there in terms of the automatic stage caution, so we're going to go back and get all the finishing guys here to conclude the stage, which this will practically help you out, Jordy.
Yeah, I will eagerly await that.
So Scott Bailey will take first, Belmonte second, McCauley will take third, Higginbottom will take fourth, Gibson fifth, Ireland sixth, Magrum will take seventh, and barely taking eighth is going to be Dylan Baum. Ninth will go to Darcy Ford, and rounding at the top 10 with that one extra final point is going to be Andy Hurdle.
And he very much needed that, but we'll just fire up the old spreadsheet. We'll get some calculations while we're between stages and see everyone in pit lane. And let's do some analysis here. So, okay, so yeah, a little bit more of a spread here, so to speak, but there are very much some variables in play here right now. So, and I'll send this all to you within a minute here as well, Reeves,
Yes.
as I explain it. So,
Well, I do want to say one thing just to confirm it. I click on Kyle Knoll's name, he's done.
Okay, so that is, notably him 10 laps down. Again, Michael Wolford 12 laps down, now into roughly an 11-minute pit stop from what I saw there a second ago.
Yeah.
Still challenging the Daytona record. Don't know if that's going to happen, but I think he's going to need all the repair time he can possibly get here. Because, let's go into this a little bit. With the 2-stage victories, Scott Bailey now finds himself in 9th on 2,036 points. Kyle Knoll is presently 8th at 2,040, but he's done, as mentioned. So that is going to drop him down to either, well, depending on if Wolford comes back out, it could either be 18th or 19th. Or, wait, is it 18 drivers we have, or is it 19?
18.
Okay, so it'll either be 17th or 18th that he finishes. For some reason, I was thinking we had 19. But, at most, Kyle Knoll will have 19 points. So he'll be locked in on 2,059 at most points. So we won't even worry about that right now because he's on 2040. So the way things tighten up, again, Bailey's 9th. Ryan Gibson, 10th, 1 point back of that at 2035. Dylan Baum, 11th at 2033. Michael Wolford is the guy on the bubble right now at 2031. But again, he's in pit lane right now, so he's very much a guy in danger here as well. Andy Hurdle is 3 points back right now in 13th. Jason Butler, another 3 points back in 14th on 2025. Hunter Young not picking up any stage points here tonight, so he is 7 points out, so a lot more separation than we had after stage 1, but we've got a couple of guys out there who are not on track who very much need to be. One cannot be.
Indeed so. So the final couple of cars coming off of pit road right there. Everyone's going to be double file, so a lot of these guys are going to have to catch right back up, including Scott Bailey, Matthew Patek, Jose Mercado, Hunter Young, Ryan Gibson, and C.D. Magram. Kyle Knoll currently 12 laps down, 17th. Wolford's at minus 14. I'd imagine Wolford might jump Knoll, though, knowing that he's still here, just hoping to gain as many points as he possibly can.
But that's not going to matter, though, because...
That's the thing, though, yes.
Hurdle and Butler both being behind... Knoll might have just enough of a gap to survive here. I'll do a little more analysis here, and I'll get the screen sent to you here as we are back to green.
Indeed so. On lap 103 of 167, we are back underway here. The third and final stage of the Kansas 200 is underway. With Jason Butler in the number 10 leading the way in front of Corbin McCauley and Justin Belmonte. Scott Bailey's all the way back to 9th, but there's no doubt in my mind he's going to crawl his way back up to the front at some point. But Jason Butler would absolutely love to get into the next round with a win, knowing how many struggles that he's had to face this year. There were a couple times where he was below the playoff cut line, but he was able to get lucky back in the regular season finale at Daytona with Ty Higginbottom getting the victory and him being in that final spot, hoping that no one below the cut line would end up taking the crown. And he's got Corbin McCauley with him side by side down the back straightaway on the inside. Oh, and Ty Higginbottom with a interesting slide right there down to the inside. He puts himself in third. Belmonte falling back to fourth. And now you're now finally showing me this playoff situation right here. Yes, that is close.
Again, maybe a little bit more separation than we had at the end of stage 1. Certainly more separation, but again, a lot more variables in play with the one blown engine and the other car involved in an accident that still got him in pit lane.
So Butler is going to clear the way in front of McCauley here so far on lap 106 now, 167. Again, him being minus 6 below the cut line, a win would do him absolute favors, and I guess although we still have to obviously calculate the points that would put him over Michael Wolford there in that 12th and final spot, but we obviously still have the overall finishing points that we have to put all together. But right now, the top 5 single file, Jared Ireland, Darcy Ford, side by side for 6th. There's Dylan Baum making his way back up to the front, along with Scott Bailey as well. Jose Mercado alongside him there for 9th. Bailey dropping back there in 10th on the high side. There's Hunter Young in 11th, again being -7. So we already know that Jonathan Peden is currently the only driver that we know for sure out of the playoffs, being -30, of course, and not even being here tonight. Young is in, quite a bubble, just like Jason Butler here. I mean, again, Butler's in the lead, but Young's all the way back in 11th. You add another number 1 to that position there. There's C.D. Magrum back in 13th, Ryan Gibson 14th, Paytax 15th, Marini is 16th. Wolford still in the pit lane with, hey, there's 1,000.
Yeah, so that's almost a 17-minute stop. I don't know if there's a way to actually figure out how much time he needs spent on the repairs, but we saw it with Ryan Gibson last week, if I recall. Every last second is going to matter, especially in an elimination race.
Indeed, that's pretty much the motto. Everything counts. I think McCauley had a bit of a slide right there as Belmonte's going to go to his inside down the back straightaway, really going to squeeze him up against the outside wall. And we just take a look at this. Andy Hurdle battling here for 4th alongside Jared Ireland. Hurdle being -3. He's looking for every position, every little point that he can possibly gain here in this 3rd and final stage to put himself over the cut line.
And right now, he would stand to be the first beneficiary of, the inevitable drops of both Michael Wolford and Kyle Knoll. Wolford perhaps more so than Knoll, given that Wolford is currently that bubble boy right now with that 3-point edge.
Indeed, so they're still going to be battling side by side here for the 4th position. The top 3 remaining single file as Butler continues to lead the way with a decent distance by about 3.5 tenths right there.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't become kind of susceptible to that kind of Butler boom that we saw a little bit earlier, where he raced out to that lead in stage 2, but it didn't take him long to fall back in that particular stage, and that's something he can't afford this time around.
And so now McCauley's starting to drop back here as he falls back to 4th, as Andy Hurdle's going to try and get side by side with him. Ireland moving his way up now on the high side for 2nd over Justin Belmonte. Down the back straightaway. And would you look at that? I do wonder if Butler might be using his tires a little too much again, as as these guys are now catching right back up to him, especially Jared Ireland. There's going to be contact on the left rear quarter panel to 13 as the 6 got really close with him. These two are all but guaranteed to be into the next round, but I'm sure neither one wants to see themselves have their race end prematurely, and Belmonte's really going to squeeze in front. Ireland's going to do the crossover, and now they're going to try and make it 3 wide for the race lead as Butler's going to be on the high side. Oh, he's going to really drop back right here.
Yeah, just kind of, again, a bit of a victim of the racing around him in a sense. Like, not in contact per se, just kind of lost the ideal line to the faster drivers in the form of Ireland and Belmonte, and you're seeing that play out right now.
Indeed, so Butler really now falling back, as I think he might have tagged the wall there. We didn't have the perfect angle with that one, but he's dropped all the way back to 8th now. And so Ireland leading the way with Belmonte, about a 10th behind right there. McCauley 3rd, Andy Hurdle in 4th, Ty Higginbottom running at the top 5. There's Jose Mercado, even though he's had a couple of moments throughout this race, particularly with outside wall taps on corner exits. He's had a pretty stellar race. He's been mostly clean thus far with everyone else. Decent.
And speaking of outside reads, No, go ahead.
Before you say something there, I just got the word from Butler there that he is surprised that he led that many laps because his tires are shredded.
Seems awfully early in this third stage for that to happen because they've been out, 14, 15 laps under green conditions?
Something
Unless he
like
didn't
that.
change them during the window.
Yeah, no, I believe he got them changed before that caution came out. Or no, sorry, I'm trying to remember. No, I think under the caution he took the tires. And then under the stage caution, like I actually had I believe the far chase camera on him, he only took fuel. So Jason, if you're hearing this and I got any of that wrong, please let me know, but I'm pretty sure that's what I can recall. So, yeah, just not ideal there for the 10, but I mean, hey, knowing how much he's struggled this season, he's had a roller coaster of a campaign. We were able to see him lead a bunch of laps in front of this very competitive field that we have here tonight. And I mean, even if he does end up, unfortunately, missing out on the round of 12, I bet that would still be a really good feeling for him.
Well, right now, if you look at it, again, Michael Wolford, the guy on the bubble, 6 points in the difference between Butler and Wolford right now. Right now, if things were to stay as they are, Butler being 10th, Wolford being 17th, Jason Butler would get him by 1 point.
Oh my gosh. But it's just so hard to say right now because, again, it's only a lap. It'll be, I would assume, 119 here. You do the math. We still have we have under 50 laps still to go in this race. Anything's possible, but we're now seeing here the previous Kansas winner, Jared Ireland, finally has found his speed, and he's now just over half a second ahead of Justin Belmonte here. And I want to take a look at the race summary here very quickly. We've had 5 cautions, of course 2 of them being for the stage breaks. We've had a couple of incidents, as I just saw Ty Higginbottom's tap the wall there coming off turn 4. We've had 18 of the 119 laps under caution. We've had 17 lead changes, incredible, and we've had 8 different leaders.
Okay, and notably on the leaderboard, you've seen the swap in positions between Michael Wolford and Kyle Knoll. So at this point, unless some other misfortune befalls the 36, who may actually be back out on track now, let's take a look. And like we said last week, every position is going to count. So that's going to knock Kyle Knoll down 1 more. So we'll give him the, so for finishing 18th, again, that's 19 points now, so you can lock him in at that 2059 number we were talking about. So, to give you a bit of an idea of what would need to happen for Knoll to get fully knocked out here, you'd need, Hunter Young would have to win, pretty much, because second would only tie that number. Jason Butler 3rd or better. Andy Hurdle 6th or better out of the guys who are currently outside the playoff picture. But there's also a lot of variables through the field.
That's the thing, too. And again, it's hard to say all that because we still have so much racing left to do. But Kyle Knoll right now, not in the server anymore. He is... I do wonder if he actually might be watching the stream right now, or maybe he isn't at all because he might be stressing to death right now, hoping that he will somehow, find a miracle and get his way into the next round. Because again, knowing where we start off in the round of 12 at Talladega, that right there is one of his best tracks. He's really fast. He's been really fast on the super speedways, particularly the bigger tracks. He's gotten good finishes in there. If I even take a look at his, his qualifying results and his finishing results thus far. At Daytona, he qualified 11th and finished 7th. At Atlanta, he qualified 13th and finished 7th. He did make Talladega, of course, because of a suspension of course. But again, qualifying hasn't been the greatest for him. But when he finishes, when he runs well and doesn't get caught up in any shenanigans, he's got a fast car and he can easily get himself on the podium. And if he is still in the round of 12 whenever we get to Talladega next Tuesday night, there's no doubt in my mind that he could easily be a contender for the win.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's shown that he's got good racecraft. He's not afraid to be bold with the strategies. How many times have we seen him take, just the 2 tires at various points in pit stops just to maintain position as much as anything else? Now, sometimes that's been to his detriment, as we see Dan Cudmore coming out of pit lane, but other times it's helped him immensely, it has to be said. So, again, he's a guy who's absolutely not afraid to take a risk, and the feeling of kind of being helpless on the sidelines here, I can't imagine anything worse, especially knowing that your fate is now in somebody else's hands.
Indeed. So Daniel Cudmore just came up pit road there, getting a fresh set of 4 Goodyear tires as Dylan, or I should not have the pit stop time graphic still up there, but right behind him, McCauley and Baum are really going at here for the 3rd position. Cudmore's got the fresher tires, but this draft from these 2 guys might easily overtake him, as he's caught up right in the middle of it, but he's going to stick to the inside as Baum kind of had a bit of a slide there. But I do wonder if this might be a case of strategy here for Daniel Cudmore, trying to take advantage of these guys on the fresher tires. But then again, though, whenever everyone else does have to go for green flag pit stops, he will end up having more worn out tires. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens here as Jared Ireland's now going to head down pit road, and a lot of smoke coming down the pit lane. We'll have to see if he hopefully doesn't end up with a penalty right there. I'm surprised McCauley is the only one, I think the only one, at least I've been told so far, that got a speeding penalty.
Yeah, as far as we know, that's the only penalty that's been incurred, as Mercado makes his way out of pit lane as well.
And Mercado took 4 tires. I believe Ireland's going to do the same there. And maybe warp through the safety vehicle because he is in that front spot. And yes, he is going to completely destroy it.
Yeah, so interesting time to do that for Jared Ireland. 39 laps to go. If you remember the first stage, it was 45 laps. And a few guys were able to stay out, I believe, actually didn't pit. We did have a caution or 2 in that time. So I wonder if maybe there's going to be a bit of banking on a late caution to either nurse the tires to the end or get to the point where maybe there's one last set available.
Indeed, so Hurdle's going to take 4 tires here on lap 130 out of 167. He'll come off a pit road. So far, no one else taking a shot yet, as Justin Belmonte leads the way by about 2/10 here over Dylan Baum, who dives it in deep into the corners right there. I think did I just try myself in a joke right there?
I was kind of zoned out for a second, I'm not going to lie, so I think you may have saved yourself in that particular instance.
Okay, yeah, thank goodness. But yeah, rounding out the podium here so far is Ty Higginbottom, as Baum is really close in behind on Belmonte right there. McCauley in 4th. Gibson and Young going at it here for 8th. Ford and Magrum there. Decent distance between each other. As Dylan Baum's not going to head down pit road, we will quickly check here to see if he had a successful entry. Oh, he got loose. Bit of smoke there. He might have gotten lucky.
There was smoke after the line, though, as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he got that lucky at all.
We'll have to wait and see here, because Ireland, Hurdle, Mercado, and Cudmore are all 1 lap down here thus far, and Baum's going to fall a lap down here, and I can only imagine that Ireland did not get a penalty, because he probably would be at least 2 or 3 laps down by now if that were the case. But we have a couple more takers as Ty Higginbottom and Darcy Ford, 2 previous champions in this series, come down the pit lane. Baum with a 14.72. I can only imagine he probably took 4 tires there. We'll see what Higginbottom and Ford are going to do here on lap 133. Looks like it's going to be 4 tires.
I was going to say, at this point with 34 laps to go, you see Kyle Knoll 43 laps down. Again, that is an official lock in on that 18th place effectively no matter what happens basically from here on in. That is his position still at this point, I think, unless, again, something worse was to befall Michael Wolford, but I'd say that is pretty much where we are right now. He'll be sitting on pins and needles, fingernails probably chewed right down to their bitter ends.
Macaulay! Very fast on the pit road, and the right side of his car went right over the cone.
He hit a Montreal Canadiens defender.
Oh, come on.
There we go. It was right there. I know Corbin would love that as a Leafs fan, too, so that's perfect.
And then there's Daniel Cudmore and I who are just like, yeah, get out.
Well, I mean, I'm only pretty much a full country away, so what are you going to do?
But yeah, it would not surprise me if maybe Macaulay or maybe even maybe another guy in there. I think it was Magram or Belmonte. It was someone in there. Oh, I might have heard something. Hang on. Oh my goodness, Jordy. Corbin Macaulay has a minute and 10 seconds, I believe I heard, in penalties because I think it was an unsafe entry. I don't know if I heard something else, but you can see by that pit stop time it's taking forever. That is catastrophic for the 17. I mean, not playoff-wise, but just race-wise, trying to get redemption after falling short within the final 2 laps at the previous Kansas race. Very unfortunate for the 17.
Yeah, I'd say that'll pretty well put to bed any hopes he may have had of driving through the field again, especially this late going in the race. But again, if there's one guy who could afford that, realistically it's him.
Oh yeah, exactly. He's definitely lucky in that case, although I can only imagine if he ended up like second or third back last Tuesday night, he probably still would already be in the next round by now, knowing how many points he has. He was absolutely wild. The gap that he had to everyone else was absolutely wild whenever we even started the playoffs. So there's C.D. Magram coming out of his pit stall. There's Hunter Young and Mike Marini in there as well.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how everyone kind of holds up now. We're looking at 29 laps to go. This seems like kind of a fairly healthy tire range based on how we've seen things play out. Plus, the track is significantly cooler than it was to begin the evening as well. It started at 43. Now it's, oh, look at that. It's reversed. It's down to 34. But, and especially with no humidity, like just that rubber can feel a little more comfortable right now and, yielding a little bit more predictability in the car over the last 28, call it 27 laps.
Indeed. So right now, Jared Ireland has a 10-second lead over Dylan Baum. So I would say unless something out of complete nowhere happens, then again, this looks like it's Ireland's race to lose as he's trying to sweep the Kansas dates after prevailing again, as we've said multiple times tonight, prevailing over Corbin Macaulay in the first race, as he was a lot safer with this tire wear, of course. But Dylan Baum second, Andy Hurdle in third. I can only imagine point-wise, would that put him in?
Third, 34 points. That would, it would get him ahead of Kyle Knoll, that's for sure. Based on, again, the fact that we've got Knoll locked in on 19 points. Third place would yield 34, and that would pop Hurdle 3 points up on the 15 if the result was to hold.
Belmonte's fourth, Higginbottom close behind there in fifth, Mercado is sixth. Scott Bailey is all the way back here, just coming through turns 3 and 4. And I would imagine Bailey is likely going to make it in.
I mean, he's ninth right now, so I can't see a reason why he wouldn't. P7 would yield him another 30 points, so yeah, that'd get him up to 2066, which I figure would probably be pretty safe. But we'll do we'll give a real-time update whenever we get the final race results too.
Indeed, but yeah, after taking home the first two stages here, a 7th place finish is definitely not too shabby. But what I would argue, though, with these guys is, or what I'd argue, and I think the drivers would agree, is that's more proper way to word it. I think everyone is praying that we don't get a caution, or at least most of these top guys are, because Gibson's in 9th. I think he probably should be safe. Again, I say should be, not confirming, just said, like you said, we're still going to wait until we get the official race results. Paytack here in 10th, very likely going to be on his way to the round of 12. There's Cudmore in 11th and Marini in 12th, guys outside the playoffs looking to get some decent finishes there. Jason Butler all the way back here in 13th. What is his situation right now?
So Butler presently is 6 points out right now. And now, with the positions being what they are, he would only gain 4 points on Michael Wolford, which, again, that's a 6-point difference right now. He would finish 2 back as it stands. But, again, there's other movement that still has to happen, so it's going to be really tight at the bubble here.
Hunter Young in 14th. I would imagine, knowing his situation right now, 2 laps down in 14th and being -7 below the cut line, it would not surprise me one bit that he would be undoubtedly the second guy to miss the round of 12 here. We already know about Jonathan Peden. Hunter Young is very likely the second. But again, we still have to complete this race and see what happens, because if we get a caution, everything changes here. McCauley in 15th, we already know he's already in. No biggie, but he definitely would have wanted a better finish than this so far. Darcy Ford in... Huh?
Yeah, I was going to say, even the thing in Young's case, if a caution was to happen, he's still 2 laps down. He's not in a lucky dog position. So, he needs even more help than that.
We would need to have, multiple wrecks, Talladega style, and yet Talladega is next Tuesday. Oh. So, and yeah, that's even more unfortunate as well, because again, the first Talladega race we had this season, Hunter Young claimed his first career victory in the series. So, if he were to get into the round of 12, then that would mean that first race of the round of 12 would be an absolutely perfect opportunity of momentum right there for him to even upset and get into the round of 8. But right now, it is not even close to looking like that is going to happen. Wolford's actually back on pit road right now.
With a lengthy stop.
Yeah, with a very lengthy stop, so that'll be interesting
Ireland
to see.
in.
Jared Ireland's on pit road. This is an interesting situation right here.
I don't know if it's a penalty per se. I wonder if he just stayed out longer.
Well, whatever happens here, Ireland is practically safe and en route to the round of 12 anyways. Or actually, no, we're getting multiple cars coming through the pit lane here. Are we getting 2 green flag pit windows here, or is just some guys that decided to maybe pit a little later?
Well, I don't know if Ireland took 4 tires. Look, it's a 9.4 second stop.
Okay, so 2 on the other one and then 2 on this one, yeah.
Yeah, clearly it wasn't a full stop.
So very interesting to see right there, as now Dylan Baum is going to be the leader in his number 3 Toyota with SimLeaguePro.com on the car. He's right in behind Daniel Cudmore, who is now going to go a lap down here in 10th place. Cudmore looking for another top 10 result here with a couple in recent weeks. Got one back at Richmond last Tuesday.
Yeah,
so Andy Hurdle on pit road too.
Oh, that is terrible timing there. He pits from 2nd place. So you have to wonder, he's kind of betting on himself here in these last 16 laps because, again, he is 3 outside
Butler, too.
right now. Yeah, I think things might get a little spicy here. Now, again, you see, Hurdle and Butler both outside right now. Wolford pretty much undoubtedly kind of on the outside here just with the unfortunate circumstances that have befallen him. But, 5.7 seconds for Butler. He clearly, that might only be a splash and dash maybe, whereas Hurdle, 14 and a half, that's more your traditional pit stop length.
Oh, okay, I just heard something there. I think I just got told apparently everyone is going to be 2 or 3 laps short of fuel.
Okay, so, that explains the kind of 5.7 seconds for Andy Hurdle. So, this, I wonder if everyone's kind of praying for a caution here now for that reason to try and stretch it out a little bit. Or we'll have some drivers doing some real-time math on the fly.
So this, it might unless a caution comes out, this is very well coming down to a strategy race, a fuel race, which, especially too, after seeing all the pack racing we had earlier, I think it's almost as if like everyone got tired and now we went straight from basically a practice for Talladega to now all of a sudden it's all about fuel.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the gaps on the track. There isn't really a whole lot going on in the way of battles as it stands right now. So, I wonder if maybe there is some conservation in play. We're definitely not getting the pack racing that we had earlier. So that sort of, unless there's something self-inflicted, we might be looking at a green run to the finish here and things getting very, very dicey for a number of drivers in the field.
And this is an ideal situation for Baum if he does have enough fuel to make it to the end, although hearing that everyone is short, though, I do wonder if Baum will be. But if he were to stay alive here and make it to the end, this would be very ideal for him as, again, too, after the second stage, being +5 there above the cut line. That is very good for him to be able. It would be very good for him to be able to make his way into the round of 12 with a win. He's also another guy that is very fast on the big tracks, the super speedways in particular, as he has an insane number of poles this season. I don't know if it's him or McCauley that has the most, but if I go back here, he got the pole.
Baum has 4, I believe.
Yeah, Baum got the pole at Daytona. You got the pole at Atlanta, Charlotte, and Texas. So that's 4 poles right there for him. His finishes have been very up and down, very inconsistent season, but whenever he, doesn't get involved in anything and he is up there challenging everyone else, he has a very fast car, and he also is another guy like Kyle Knoll who likes to take risks and be aggressive. So again, it's kind of the opposite of Knoll in a way where he tends to qualify very well, while Knoll doesn't. But then with the results, again, I guess maybe they are maybe a bit the same in terms of inconsistency, but Knoll kind of edges him out, I believe. I mean, even points-wise, he does, so.
And the other kind of factor weighing against Dylan Baum even earlier in the season, there were some connectivity issues in there as well. So
yes,
the performance to this point, there were some so great results, but may not necessarily be reflective of kind of the full picture of the driver.
Indeed. And now, one driver I have noticed here after the earlier penalties that we witnessed, McCauley was in 16th or something like that. He's now up to 12, so there is still a possibility he could maybe with a miracle be able to get a top 10, but he is 2 positions away. So I guess
2 laps down.
Yeah, kind of a bounce back right there. Not too bad, but Dylan Baum again leading the way by about 5.5 seconds. Belmonte and Bailey have just exited off of turn 2. C.D. Mangrum and Ryan Gibson going through turns 1 and 2. Ireland's back here in 6th. Patak is 7th. Marini 8th. Hurdle is 9th. Higginbottom 10th. Oh boy, Dylan Baum on pit road.
He wasn't going to get there.
Dylan Baum was not going to make it, so now this race is going to come down to these two guys who are separated by about half a second. Justin Belmonte, the rookie, versus Scott Bailey, the guy who has still, oh no, he's going to get in the wall. He's going to slide along it. That's definitely going to make him lose some time right there. From about 4 to 6 tenths right there. But again, it's the guy, Belmonte won the first 2 races of the season, and he has had a really good start to the Earl Ross Cup playoffs here in Season 4, versus a guy who has been so long overdue for a victory this season. He's gotten so many podium finishes and top 5s. He's been consistent. He hasn't finished outside the top 10 in a single race yet. So this battle's really going to come down to the wire here as Dylan Baum now here in 7th at 1 lap down. So I don't know if this is necessarily going to be a battle to the end, though, because I do wonder if either Belmonte or Bailey is going to run out of fuel within these final couple laps, as we're now down to 5 laps to go in the Kansas 200. So
yeah, that's kind of the ultimate variable in these last 5 laps or so, is whether or not these two will have to come in. So admittedly, I don't know as much about Justin Belmonte with him being a rookie this year. I don't know what his kind of thoughts are on strategies and being able to pull things out, make them last longer, so to speak. But Scott Bailey, I've always known him to be good with tire management, for one. And, he's always talked about, ideal strategies for, getting longer runs, thinking about sort of that longer kind of stint, so to speak. I wonder if maybe he's got something up his sleeve fuel-wise to make sure that he can kind of hang on here as we got 3 laps to go. It should pop up there any second, I would think.
It does.
There it is.
Yes.
And yeah, the other thing there, he's not quite close enough to push on Belmonte just yet. But if he does, and he's able to apply that pressure, does that force Belmonte into burning a little bit more while defending? But Bailey has to get there first.
Indeed. So we are now at 2 laps to go in the Kansas 200. Justin Belmonte looking for his 3rd career victory in the Canadian Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. He hasn't won since Daytona and Auto Club earlier in the season. And then after that, he just kind of has been a little bit up and down. But he's finished in the top 10 within the past 5 races. And 4 of them have been top 5 finishes. He finished 2nd back at Richmond behind Corbin McCauley, even after starting 2nd. So he's been very good in qualifying as well. So hopefully the fuel will stretch out for him. Here is the white flag. 1 lap to go in the round of 16 for the whole field, but especially here for the 6 of Justin Belmonte, who hopefully will have enough fuel here through the down the back straightaway and in the final corners.
Yeah, about a 1 second gap here between Belmonte and Bailey. That's what Bailey would have to rely on if he wants to win, and that gap's up to around 1.2 now. And yeah, Belmonte into turns 3 and 4. This is looking pretty rosy here. You take it.
And to the checkered flag for his 3rd win of the season, 3rd career victory, Justin Belmonte's number 6 is going to take the checkered flag and win the Kansas 200. It's been a while since he's been in victory lane, but finally it's been, again, ever since April. And now here in August, he's back in victory lane. He has won his way into the round of 12. He and Corbin McCauley, again, we remember back at Richmond, those 2 guys finishing 1 and 2. McCauley ended up, unfortunately, coming out in 12. But Belmonte, 2nd and 1st in the first round. He's right back to that raw speed that he has shown all season long. It's been up and down for him ever since those 2 wins earlier in the season. But now he's right back into shape. He needed that reset to, after concluding the regular season, then to begin the playoffs. So Belmonte is right up there with McCauley. And a couple of guys here giving some friendly taps to the number 6, or some swing bys right there, as Hunter Young goes for a little bit of a spin there. But, so yeah, I guess you could say right there that is your podium on the ticker. Justin Belmonte first, Scott Bailey second, and C.D. Magrum right there, the number 1, will round out the podium. We'll go through the unofficial results now right here. There is your winner, the number 6 Ford of Justin Belmonte right there. Again, sponsored by Sim Speed Shop, Warrior Wraps, and Team Watson Racing Setups from Pachico, New York. Driving for Warrior Racing. I bet his sponsors will definitely be happy to see him finally in victory lane after so long. And then, of course, as we said earlier, wrapping up the podium, rounding it out are Bailey and Magrum. What a return here for Scott Bailey. No surprise whatsoever. No doubt that he'll be moving on to the round of 12, and it took a hell of an effort to make that happen. There's the reigning Rookie of the Year, C.D. Magrum in third. Ryan Gibson in fourth. He is definitely, I would imagine, going to be heading into the next round, the 2020 Kansas winter, of course, and the series champion. Jared Ireland rounds out the top 5. Matthew Patak will be the final car to finish on the lead lap in 6th. Dylan Baum will finish 7th, despite unfortunately falling just short of a victory right there. Andy Hurdle will come home in 8th. Ty Higginbottom, the defending series champion, in 9th. And rounding at the top 10 with a very solid finish is the number 12 of Mike Marini. Jordy, I'll let you take it the rest of the way from 11th through 18th.
All right, well, I'll try and do this with some real-time math as we're getting word of Darcy Ford, who we'll see in 16th, actually picking up a speeding penalty on pit road. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the rest of the way, Jose Mercado finishes 11th, 1 lap down. Corbin McCauley comes home in 12th, 2 laps down after that minute and 10 seconds worth of penalties that he took. Hunter Young finishes in 13th, 2 laps down, and that'll spell the end of his Earl Ross Cup chances once the math gets all sorted out. Dan Cudmore, series founder, 2 laps down as well in 14th. Jason Butler has seen, I think, his chances disappear here as well in 15th, 2 laps down. Then the aforementioned Darcy Ford, 16th, 2 laps down as well. And then you've got your 2 kind of early-ish retirements in the form of Michael Wolford and Kyle Knoll,